It's 2025 and somehow this phone from 2019 is still popping up in Reddit conversations. Yeah, this guy right here, the iPhone 11, an absolute legend. Believe it or not, still being used by millions, and today we're gonna find out if this phone is still a good daily driver in 2025 or just another outdated phone ready to retire. Let's dive right in. Alright, first things first, let's talk performance, because honestly, this is where the iPhone 11 really shines. Right now, I'm still on iOS 17 and look how snappy it is. Swiping through apps is extremely smooth, opening and scrolling Instagram is lightning fast, and I'm not even kidding, you might not get this kind of smoothness from some mid-range Android phones released last year. Now, some people say iOS 18 makes this phone choppy and slow, so let me upgrade this guy to the latest iOS and see how it performs. And here we are, iOS 18.3.1, let's see. Honestly, it's still smooth, no choppiness, no slowdowns, and all the new features like the widget resizing are working great. But let's put this iOS 13 Bionic chip to the test with some casual gaming. As you can see, the A13 Bionic is no slouch. It handles games like a champ, no shudders, no lag, just smooth gameplay. And I actually really like this screen for gaming. It's not too small, not too big, and it's LCD, so it's easier on the eyes compared to OLED. That means no flickering, no eye strain, just a great gaming experience. Alright guys, next up the cameras, and let me just start by saying even in 2025 the iPhone 11 still takes some seriously good pictures. Starting with the selfie camera, it's 12 megapixels, which honestly is still solid, and you get that wider shot option here just like on the newer iPhones. So no complaints here. On the back we got the wide and ultra wide lens, but here is where it gets interesting. The iPhone 11 was the first iPhone with night mode, and comparing photos to something like the SE2 with the same A13 Bionic chip is like night and day. Literally, here are some shots from both phones so you can see for yourself. Here you can see the night mode is doing its magic, and it's a huge upgrade over something like the SE2 or an iPhone XR. The only downside is that the night mode works only on the main camera, so the ultra-wide shots won't look as good. So what about the video? The iPhone 11 shoots 4K 60 no problem. Does it look as good as the latest iPhones? Nah, not really, but for most people it's more than enough to get the job done. So yeah, the iPhone 11 cameras are still shining in 2025. Alright, next up, let's talk about the battery life, because honestly, that's like the most important thing for everyday use, right? And I gotta say, the iPhone 11 is a beast when it comes to battery efficiency. Of course, that depends on the current battery health, but the A13 Bionic is super efficient. The LCD display can be also less power hungry than OLED in certain situations, and this phone doesn't have 5G, which is also a massive battery drain. It sticks with 4G LTE, which is still plenty fast, so don't worry about that. By the way, this iPhone right here is still at 92% battery health. Now why is that? It simply wasn't used much, it's got only 265 cycles, and in my testing it makes it easily through the day without a problem. But here's the crazy part. I used to have another iPhone 11 as my daily driver a few years back, and that one had 77% battery health, and it still lasted me the whole day. I'm not even kidding, this never happened to me with any other iPhone model. Now most iPhone 11s out there with an original battery are probably way below 75% health by now, so a new battery would be a good idea. And get this, a decent aftermarket battery costs less than 10 euros, and an original battery is around 27 euros including tax. So yeah, that's not a huge investment to keep this legend alive. Okay, now we need to talk about the iPhone's 11 design, because honestly, this thing has aged like fine wine. You got that 6.1-inch LCD liquid retina display on the front, which is still totally usable in 2025, and that first gen notch is kinda iconic now too. And then there's the back, premium glass finish and sleek matching black aluminum edges. Pure fire, this phone looks so clean, it can't get better than this. And bro, seriously, I totally forgot how comfortable this thing is to hold. Like, it just melts in your hand. Thanks to the rounded edges, this phone is still the comfort king in 2025. And that brings us to the last but definitely not least reason why the iPhone 11 is a still great phone to have in 2025. Like seriously bro, this thing is a steal. You can grab this phone secondhand anywhere from 100 to 200 euros, and if you want something with a warranty, refurb sites like Backmarket or Swappy have them listed starting below 200. I mean, come on, that's a crazy good deal for an iPhone. Alright, let's wrap this one up. So, after using this phone for a week as my secondary device, I gotta say the iPhone 11 still kills it in 2025. I mean, come on, this thing is not slow and it's totally usable as a daily driver. If you think about it for a second, the iOS 18 UI on this phone is exactly the same as on the iPhones that cost like $1,000. So why drop $1,000 on a new phone when the 11 does almost everything for a fraction of the price? By the way, I still think that all devices with at least 4 gigs of RAM and the A13 Bionic will get the iOS 19. That means Apple will likely drop support for the XR and the SE2 this year, but not the iPhone 11. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Alright, that's it for this one. Do you still use an iPhone 11 in 2025, or do you plan on buying one? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Joey and I'll catch you in the next video.